Welcome to the new video on RAM versus storage and information overload. Please subscribe if you have not done so already and like the video if you find any of the information helpful. Many people say, my computer doesn't have enough memory when they mean storage space. In CAT, you must be clear. RAM and storage are not the same and they affect performance in different ways. And in the exam, every paper will ask you some form of this question. The PC is slow. Is it RAM or storage? This video makes that question automatic. Remember to set up your notes according to the Cornell method. On the left-hand side is your cues, and on the right-hand side, your notes. For the exam, it would be a good idea if you close the notes side and only look at the cues. And if you can answer the questions or the cues on the left-hand side, you know your work. Now, let's look at the two boxes and ask the question, is RAM and storage the same thing? The quick answer is no, but many people and even some shops mix them up. Today we'll see how they're different, what symptoms tell you the problem, and how information overload connects them both. Now, where the problem might arise is because RAM is called our primary memory, while storage is referred to as secondary memory. Their functions are different. And also, RAM, as we've seen in the previous video, is volatile, meaning if the electricity is gone, no memory. And our storage is non-volatile. That means even without electricity, it maintains the information. Let's go back to the person analogy from video 2. You as a person has a brain, and your computer has a CPU, which does the same function. However, your short-term memory is what you're thinking about right now, the few things you juggle at the same time. Your long-term memory is like a bookshelf where you store information for later, even when you're not thinking about it. Computers are exactly the same. RAM is our short-term memory, storage our long-term memory. Imagine you're working at a desk. The desk space is your RAM. You can only keep a certain number of books open in front of you at the same time. The CPU is the person who sits at the desk using those open books. If the desk is small, you can't spread many books out. You keep closing one, opening another, stacking and unstacking. This takes time and slows you down. RAM works exactly this way. It holds the program and data you're currently busy with. If there's too little RAM, your computer spends time swapping things in and out, and everything slows down or freezes. The bookshelf is your storage, hard drives and SSDs. You can store many more books on the shelf than you can fit on your desk. When you need something, you stand up, fetch a book from the shelf, and put it on your desk. That's like opening a file or a program. The computer fetches it from the storage into RAM so the CPU can work with it. When you're finished, you close the book and put it back. That's saving and closing a file. Now imagine your desk is tiny. You want your textbooks, notes, calculator, and diary open, but they don't all fit. You keep closing one book to open another, sliding things around, trying not to drop everything. You're still clever, but you're slowed down by your working space. This is what happens when a computer has a fast CPU but too little RAM. The symptoms that you can see includes programs taking a long time to switch, many apps showing not responding, system becoming laggy when you open more tabs, and typing being delayed. Now imagine your desk is fine, but your bookshelf is jam-packed. There's no space for new books or notes. You have to throw things away or buy another cabinet. This is like a hard drive or SSD that's almost full. And the symptoms you see will include can't save files, your system is too slow, and warning messages. This is why your parents say, put your phone away and focus. Too much information leads to slower decisions. The same with computers. In the social implications questions, you see the term information overload for people. Too much information to process at once. For a learner, juggling WhatsApp, homework, social media, chores, family drama all at once. That's overload. On a computer, something similar happens when you open too many programs and tabs at the same time. You can imagine a browser open with 20 tabs, Word documents, YouTube music, Discord, Teams meeting, Spotify, all running. Even if each one is small, together they overwhelm the RAM and performance drops. Part of information management is deciding what to keep open and what to close, both in your life and on the computer. When the RAM runs out, the operating system sometimes uses part of the storage as pretend RAM. This is called virtual memory, or page file, or swap space, different names, same thing. It helps the system to survive when there isn't enough physical RAM, but it's much slower, because it's a pretend disk actually on the shelf far away. So it goes from virtual memory is on your storage, so in the bookshelf, and then to the RAM. The speed difference is significant. Real RAM access is in nanoseconds. Virtual memory access in milliseconds. That is 1,000 times slower. We'll look at this more when we talk about the operating system and performance later again. For now, virtual memory is emergency backup, not a solution. Just to be thorough, here's the definitions. Information overload is when there's overwhelming content without too much information to process. And virtual memory is unused disk space of the hard drive, which allows the operating system to operate as if it had more RAM, and this enables the PC to run more programs at once at a slower speed. Knowing the difference between RAM and storage will help you. So here's a table to distinguish between the two. For RAM, you lag when there's too many apps open. Storage, you cannot save files. RAM, there's slow app switching. Storage, you cannot install apps or updates. RAM, there's freezing or not responding. And storage has a low disk space warning. RAM has delayed typing, while storage has no temporary space. This will help you to explain exam questions correctly and get full marks, describe real problems accurately when you ask for help, and to diagnose yourself. Is my computer slow because of RAM or storage? We are almost at the end of the video, so time for short exam style questions. Please listen to the questions carefully, pause the video, and write full sentence answers. We can go through the answers afterwards, and then you can mark, which will help you to see where you might have answered a question differently when the exam comes. So, first question. A learner's PC is slow only when many apps are open. Explain why this happens. Second question. A phone says not enough space to install the app. Explain why this happens. Explain the term information overload and give one way it can affect the learner. Last question. When will virtual memory be used? Please pause. Now let's look at the answers. In the first question, RAM is the problem. Many apps are open, which means the RAM is full and system is swapping data in and out, which slows down everything. Storage problem would prevent saving, not cause switching lag. Storage problem is in the second question. Not enough space means storage, which is HDD or SSD, that is full, not the RAM. There is no room to install the app. A RAM problem would cause lag, not installation errors. Information overload is too much information for a person to process at once. For example, juggling WhatsApp, homework, social media, chores simultaneously. And the effect on learner could be stress, poor decision making, distraction, slower work. The last question, when RAM is not enough and too many programs are open or program is too large to run from available RAM. Also, when the available memory is full. So please note this question is asked, when will virtual memory be used, and not the definition thereof. It's always important to remember and to read the question carefully before you answer. I always tell my learners, read 3 times, think twice, and write once. So now it is time to complete your summary. It is best to do this from memory without looking at your notes, and it should help you to prepare before the exam. Just a quick summary. So, write down 4 points that you can read in 30 seconds before an exam. One example would be to say what is RAM. RAM is your volatile or primary memory, and if there's too little, it causes lag or freezing. Storage is your secondary memory or non-volatile memory, and if it's full, you can't save or install. And virtual memory is emergency slow backup. That's a complete revision card. Memorize this structure. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe for our next video on storage optimization, including defrag, disk cleanup, and compression. This video will help you to understand to take care of your computer and how to solve some of your storage problems that you have learned about today. Subscribing would also remind you when a new video is released, and any likes, comments, and sharing would really be appreciated and helps me to create even more intentional videos. Thank you again and enjoy the rest of your day.